Alright guys, we went to the junkyard today and we picked up some parts that we're going to be needing here. These are leaf springs out of the rear end of it's same body style truck as mine, so 89 to 91. I was going to do add-a-leafs in the front to lift it a little bit, and because there's a lot more weight up there now, just to help those springs out a little bit. And then I watched zip ties and bias plies. We're going to be making our own add-a-leaf kit out of these here. So we're going to be taking them apart and cutting them down. I don't know how many of these leaves I'm going to be adding. It might be the kind of trial and error thing where we add a couple and see how it looks and then add a few more. We need to get it up a little bit higher so that we can get a little bit more clearance for that drag link, because it's still pretty close. Even with the drop pitman arm, it's still pretty close to the cross member. I'm still probably going to end up cutting the cross member just ever so slightly to clearance that a little bit, and then with the added lift from the springs we should be good. And then once all that's done, I'm going to do the track bar, which it does need. So yeah, these were not easy to get out. Luckily though, I don't know what happened, because you can see the guy at the scrapyard, the you pull it place, Junkyard, that's what I was looking for. He marked them, both leaf springs, left and right, and put a paint mark on them. Never charged me for them. So, you know, I'm not one to go back in looking to pay more money, you know. He saw that they were there. I guess I probably should have gone back in, but I didn't notice it until I was all loaded up and pulling out of the place. I feel like I should have paid more money for all that, but we also picked up some seats. So there needs to be some gentle massaging that's going to go on in here, but these are seats out of a Chevy Silverado pickup truck. So my Junkyard was doing a special $9.99 any seat, and by the time I got up there, most of them were gone. The good ones anyway. You know, you'd walk up to a truck and, well, that one had good ones in it, because they're gone. This, however, had power seats, and there's no batteries in any of the vehicles, and they don't allow you to bring battery boxes into the yard, and so no one else could get them out. So I took a drill battery with me in my Impact and snuck that in, and we were able to use that to move the seat back and forth and get them out. They're in decent shape. They're not, you know, they're old, they're used, they got some holes in them, some stains and some mystery fluids and probably some pubes, but they're in decent enough shape. Because these are the power seats with the armrests, they came out, I don't know much about Chevys, but I don't know, it came out of the special package. It didn't have the center jump seat. It had like the console that ties in with the dash, so the console is out of a different truck. It's not the one that I wanted. It doesn't fold down. It doesn't match the seats either. It's a slightly different cloth material. This is more of like your work truck cloth seats, but it'll probably have a child seat in there most of the time anyways, so not a big deal. But like I said, there's going to be some massaging that needs to go on to get these to fit. I did hop up in there and it feels pretty nice, but you can see the rail here sticks out over nothing, so we're going to have to make some mounts to sit here to catch the seat rails, and I think it'll be all right. It's an exciting step. I wasn't a huge fan of the bench seat that was in there. It was old, worn out, and I like these Chevy seats. I like that they come with the seat belt on them, so I don't have to worry about, you know, changing out the seat belts, so that it'll plug into whatever seats I got. So we'll probably end up removing these, or I'll just leave them in there. So today on the Messy Garage, we are working on the add-a-leaf kit. I already got the passenger side done. In case you couldn't tell, she's leaning a little. I feel like a baking show now, like, we're going to show you how to do it on this side. But over here, we already have one. I just farted. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. How rude of me. Excuse me. But over here, we have this one already done and ready to go. I wasn't sure how many leaves I was going to be adding, and it looks like I'm going to be adding 2. I went to my local spring shop and picked up my new U-bolts. You can get these at like Advanced Auto, but I wouldn't. I read every review I read on those ones were like I didn't even get halfway to my torque spec and they snapped right off. So from what I've heard, the spring place actually makes these, so they'll make them to whatever length you want. He seems to think I was making a mistake when I talked to the guy there at the spring shop. He was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I put a big engine in and now it kind of sags." And he's like, "Well, the front springs on that are rated for 3,450 pounds, and each addle leaf you put in is worth another 1,500 pounds. He's like, "You're putting in 2? Like, yep. His response was, "It's your back, not mine." And then he took my money. So, anyways, we're going to get started on this. I'll take you guys along for the ride and kind of show you, do some time lapse of the process. So far we have removed the U-bolts. I had a little bit of trouble. This one has some like goofy plate that goes on the bottom. The other one it's like welded to the axle. This side is not, and the U-bolts on the back side was like rusted into there, so I ended up having to cut that off. Shock removed, cut the bolt that holds the center pin here that holds it all together, and now I got to separate it at the bottom, and I'll probably use the torch and cut it again, because there's not enough room to get that out through the bottom. At least there wasn't on the other side. I might need to readjust my jack and get it higher. On the other side I didn't have an issue because this side was sat lower, but now that side's up higher and I don't have as much room over here. So I think I got to reposition my how could this accident have been prevented over here, and get a little more lift out of her, and then we'll continue on here. So also there's a little holder thingy here that goes on the front that keeps your leaf springs all in line. It's held in by a rivet on the bottom, so you cut that off, grind that rivet smooth. So yep, get it higher, cut that bolt out of there, and then we'll go over to the other leaf pack and start cutting that apart. That's fantastic. I didn't even have to cut this one. One bad thing though on this side is power steering leaks, so everything is oily. Factory fronts have these plastic card things between the leaf springs. The leaf springs that I got came with aluminum, and I ended up having enough of them to replace these with aluminum. So alright, so we just finished this up. Bring it in a little closer and kind of show you some of the things. The hole here in the top, you have to kind of make it a little bit bigger to fit the nut inside of there. And on the bottom, the nut, you have to make it round so it'll fit in there, because the original pin is like a stud, so it's got no head on the other end. and it fits down inside a hole, so you just got to kind of round the bolt over. And then I found it easiest, you put the bolt in from the top, and then you put your little round piece on the bottom, and then drop the vehicle down onto that bolt so that that head won't spin and the stud won't spin, and then you tighten your top, cut the bolt off flush, drill that hole out bigger, put your plate on. Every application is going to be different though, so that's just what I kind of found. Definitely easier to take the shock off. I tried to do it with the shock on this side and that didn't work out, so I used the bottom two leaves off of the rear springs that I had, so I was able to keep this spring guide, I don't know what you call it, on, because it was on that bottom spring, and it's like almost the same thickness. So I cut these off, so now I'll just probably tomorrow I'll go ahead and weld those on, and that'll hold the spring pack in line, I guess. I don't really know what the point of those are, but whatever, we're gonna have them there. And then the U-bolts I got were a little bit long, so I chopped them off. Each one's a different length too, so that's cool. But when we started, we had 42.5 inches from the ground to the wheel well, and now we're right at 45 inches, so we got about 2.5 inches of lift out of these two add-a-leafs. This was way cheaper. I think I mentioned in a previous video, they didn't, when I got them at the scrapyard, they didn't ring me up for them, so this was way cheaper than buying a single add-a-leaf on the internet. I also got, with this, I got all those aluminum shims. So, and this guy here, I don't know if new add-a-leafs come with those. So, and the length was like perfect. I didn't even have to trim them or nothing, and they like fall right into place like they're meant to be. So, the only thing that I couldn't do is the factory springs come with these, I don't know what you'd call them, tire protectors. I don't know if the tire even turned into these, into the leaf springs, but they went between the top two leaves, and now it's kind of a loose fit, but because I think the aluminum shims are a little bit thicker than the plastic ones, so I don't know if I'm gonna put those in or not. I guess I could have put them between those two, but I guess we'll see. Maybe I'll put them in. If they fall out, they fall out. Other than that, it was real simple, and this gave me a lot more room down here for my steering components. So now, before you couldn't fit your hand between this cross member and your tie rod, drag link, whatever you call that thing. So now we have a lot of room here. Might even be able to adjust that without jacking the vehicle up. And before, the drag link and tie rod were touching through here, so now I got a little bit more room there. So anyway, I gotta go, it's dinner time.